Hello, guys and girls. It is I, Aaron Lee, here today, and I'm going to read an article from Stephen Friendle and Kevin Yale's website, Dare We Say. And Stephen posted this on May 12th. Stephen S. Friendle /writings. Grace empowered chance. And the category is writings. It's clear at this point in my life that I'm going to need all the grace I can get. For though I am set free from the bondage of sin through Christ, my old nature tempts and I too often give in. Many times I can see my own folly drawing near, and other times I am surprised I didn't. But it is by Christ that we are able to examine the path we walk, and by His grace empowered to turn our feet. The same applies to a society, for just as Christ is to unify us all into one body with Him, our body as a nation can make just as predictable mistakes. But just as it is our nature to sin, our nation is also offered the same grace to chance. I wasn't alive during the time in which slavery was legal. In fact, I have grown up in a society which retroactively deems the once accepted practice of slavery as undoubtedly a sin. In my youth, seeing how great men and women joined in history to successfully abolish slavery, it would be easy for me to think and assume, wow, the world was pretty messed up back then, and it's good we finally don't do that in our modern world today. But something doesn't add up. I recall the popular quote from King Solomon: "History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new." Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. If I believe this is true, then I can't hold onto the assumption and false comfort that we have simply finally stopped doing bad things. So, are we doing something wrong today? This question is similar to the one I had just a few weeks back during a discussion with a good friend of mine. During the 18th through 19th centuries, slavery in the West was legal. It was wrong. Most people were blinded in their hearts to see the evil they accepted as a part of their society. Today, looking back, by the grace of God, a greater amount of our population can see that older Western society was in fact wrong. That said, taking into account the statement that history repeats itself, could there be a great evil that our general society accepts today that we are too blind to see? Just as most had been to slavery, here are a few possible candidates. My friend immediately brought up the unfortunate reality that, as a nation, our accessibility to own and use such complex and powerful tools as iPhones is greatly made possible by the 1 million overworked slash underpaid employees of Foxconn, a company who installed wide nets around the base of their buildings to reduce the number of suicides expected each year. This is a tragic outcome from a society that is accustomed to consuming the latest and greatest, that rejects the responsibility of knowing the cost or burden such a lifestyle inevitable inflicts on the rest of the industry. I then responded with what came to mind while I was asking the question originally. What about abortion? Abortion, a practice that results in the intentional death of an estimated 1.21 million innocent lives every year, leaving 85% of the mothers suffering from mental illness and depression. The deception of abortion, which is widely accepted in our society today, is nothing more than mass child human sacrifice, where their blood is greedily poured onto the altar of convenience and liberty. It is an evil that destroys families, graciously guilts mothers, and quietly hides behind the same shame-filled refusal to admit that, like slavery, it is wrong. It is wrong. Though the list of examples can go on, from sweatshops to human trafficking, these matters are not simple enough to fairly protest in a few sentences. It would be easy for me to list a bunch of problems in the world, heaping on more evidence to insist that we are still doing bad things. But such is too close to the role of the accuser. Revelation chapter 12 verse 10 and not work that any of us should get accustomed to practicing. And the accuser is the devil. And I will continue now. I don't claim to do justice in explaining the variety and complexities of circumstance concerning the examples I present. The first example is a specific case involving a company and tragedies associated. There is more to be said concerning our nation's desire for cheap and accessible devices, though it is clear that the extent of our consumptive habits demand much from the industry. An industry pushing its workers to suicide to meet such demand. The next example is a painful and difficult topic to touch on. For each of those 1.21 million deaths mentioned above involved specific circumstances leading up to that result. In no way should such a statistic be generalized into a single wrong that just a few of us are responsible for committing. The tragic deception of abortion affects all who are involved and is too often held over a few of us in shame and regret, further destroying life. So how do we go about these matters? Seeing as how history repeats itself, how can we possibly stop? Can we do no more than rely on the grace of our Heavenly Father, much like the transgressor set free from the cycle of sin by God's grace? Our society is not doomed to repeat these evils, and certainly not overcome by them. For it is by grace that we can see our past fully as a nation, and grace to see the paths our society currently walks. We can be the great men and women of today, not sitting by accusing ourselves into judgment, but falling on the mercy we were given the moment we were let known the evil in which we walked, the same ever sufficient mercy that will empower us to change. And the recent post on this website, another one is to lovingly disagree. Recent comments, Stephen Friendo on Who We Are. Archives, May 2015. Categories, writings. Meta, login, entries, RSS, comments, RSS, at wordpress.org. And that is it for that article, guys and girls. I hope you enjoyed it and liked it for your viewing pleasure, guys and girls. And please rate, comment, like, favorite, subscribe, views, thoughts, and opinions. And drink some hot chocolate. And I'll see you all later. And this is Aaron Halo 18. Bye.